light for you in dark places when all other lights go out.
Hey guys, this is DCHL Devin here, and I'm about to talk about the biggest event in SBG history. Is this Articon with over 200 members potentially showing up? No, this one's actually a little bit bigger, about 3 times the size in fact. And now, just to get out the way, this is actually a comment thread that happened on the GBHL Facebook page. And if you guys aren't on the GBHL Facebook page, highly recommend getting on that. There's a lot of discussions that happen, a lot of different things, photos and stuff like that, and different events and everything that's going on in the community. However, in this case, we have a highly debated topic regarding In the Ways. Now, this is one that Damien O'Byrne put up regarding In the Ways. He put a dragon, photo of a dragon where a shooter is trying to take a shot at this dragon, but has a problem. There's multiple models kind of in different places all over the place. And we don't really know how this exactly works. Now, it seems like it's as simple as, well, you just choose the simplest line of sight, but this isn't actually the way the rules are written. The rules are written just simply say that when drawing line of sight from the shooter to the target, you have to take an in the way test for every single model in the way. But this would mean in Damien's example that you take 5 in the way tests. This is ridiculous, of course, but this is kind of how it almost seems to lend itself. Hence the debate. So you really have to wonder, okay, how exactly does this work? There actually is a lot of different opinions on this one. Even the GBHL main crew, which is Tom, James, and Damien, I believe even Jamie, is all kind of divided up on this. It's actually a lot of discussion on it. And I want to address it here today because this is a question that's going to have to be answered for the DCHL as well. Exactly how do we handle this type of an issue? Now, of course, we said we're going to follow all GBHL FAQs. However, this one isn't on the GBHL FAQs, so we're going to have to cover it now. Now, there's a lot of different ways that people say that this should be done. Tom Harrison was actually talking about, okay, you draw line of sight any way you want, but you must take an in-the-way test, period. So this could be toward good models if they're on one side, or evil models if they're on another. It doesn't matter, you just have to take at least one in the way. Now, this is the least rules is written method, but it kind of gives it the easiest and simplest way to do it, I guess you can say, just without having all the restriction. It prevents someone from just picking the clearest line of path. What I mean by that is, in the example Damien put up, there are actually parts where you can easily draw a line of sight, just a straight line from your target to, from your archer to the target, and that would just mean that every single giant monster you could never make it in the way for. It makes things a little tricky. In fact, if you were to go by that way, then let's say if you went by the method of you could draw a line of sight anywhere onto the target, then that means you'd have to be pretty much 100% obscured in order for you to not have a line of sight. It's weird. I know this sounds weird, but if you look it up, it's kind of awkward on how it's all worded. But basically, Tom suggests you just must take at least one in the way, so you got to pick a path where there's one in the way involved. Of course, you pick the one with the least in the ways, and preferably not your own models. Now, GBHL James has been playing a whole different way. You actually must pick the one where, well, first off, if there are your own friendly models in the way, then you must pick that path. It just kind of defaults for you on that. It's a little bit different. I guess this is how he's just always been playing, and this is how he always felt it should be played. I personally never had this situation come up too many times, I don't think, but I can see where he's coming from. Now, if you don't have a model in the way, then it defaults to the path where it's the shortest distance between that model and the closest in the way. So this can easily lead to some finagling. It's a little close to the rules as written, a little bit more thinking, but I mean, that is certainly a way to do it. There are others. I believe Owen on the GBHL Facebook page said that all 5 in the ways must be taken. That's at least due to Tom Harrison's overview of the entire thing. It's 500 comments long, guys. I didn't read through everything, but I definitely read through a good bit of it, just trying to get everyone's take on it. And then there were some final opinions where you could just draw a line of sight any way you want, and therefore avoiding any models in the way, which makes large targets easier to shoot at. Now, This fourth method seems to be how I would almost interpret how an archer would operate. He'd of course shoot on the path easiest to go on. The problem is this makes in-game problems. If you could always pick the shortest path and you just measure from, I guess you could say, the base of the model to the base of the next model, then it's pretty easy to always get your shots. In fact, you'll often find, even in the picture as shown here, you'll find that this is part of the GW manual, but GW shows clearly Killy's line of shot is not really being completely blocked by Dwalin, but then they say that you must get in the way. So if that's the case, then you clearly, essentially, if the line doesn't cross Dwalin's base, then you obviously still have, and you still have to take him into account for in the way. It says in the picture that you don't have to make it in the way because he's in base contact, but the point is that it's clearly more than just a straight, narrow line. So I think in this case, if I were going to be judging at an international event without an official FAQ or GBHL ruling, then I'm probably more in line to pick Tom Harrison's. I feel like this method, number one, is the way I would go, which is you can take a shot, you just have to, take at least one in the way. You just kind of pick where it goes. Guys, there is a lot to discuss on this topic. I mean, a ton. People reference Simon Grant. Damien O'Byrne put up a post about Simon Grant having talked about a rank of goblins in front of the dragon. There's two ranks of it. So they're all completely masking the dragon. And does that mean you take 10 in the ways? No. You actually, Simon Grant said in this case, you would actually draw a straight line as they do in 40K, pulling the ruler on its side about 1 millimeter wide and drawing a straight line. And you only take it in the way for each target. But, in this case, as we mentioned, there are clear lines of sight here. This gets really complicated. So for now, right now, I'm thinking I'm going to go with number one, which is Tom Harrison's result. But that's just me thinking about this, guys. We haven't had much of the DCHL really weigh in on this or give their opinions. So I gotta kind of want to know what they think, but that's where I'm kind of leaning right now. I'm not asking for everyone to debate this on the channel. You absolutely can. I want to know what you guys think. But it's already a 500 common thread, so we know we're not anywhere close to a real clear answer here. It seems like we're just going to end up picking what's best during each tournament. But I agree with Damien and Tom. There needs to be a concise consensus on this before any major tournaments, because especially the international ones like Articon, Nova, any of those, I mean, you have people all over the world showing up. We got to know what we're going to do with that. So I'll give you guys my official ruling on that real soon, but right now, that's where I'm leading, is number one. Anyway, guys, just let me know what you guys think in the comments section below, and I'll see you next time.